What is up, you guys? We are back again today with another video. This one is called Neville's Technique plus my variation for SP. Everyone should read Prayer, the Art of Believing, especially to those with SP and people-related issues, or even if you're imaginal. The scene involves someone else. Excuse me. So here we go. Man transmits ideas to the subconscious through his feelings. The subconscious transmits ideas from mind to mind through telepathy. Your unexpressed convictions of others are transmitted to them without their conscious knowledge or consent, and if subconsciously accepted by them, will influence their behavior. This is the reason why whatever you believe true for someone is what will reflect with their interactions with you. If you believe that a person is irritating, they will continue to be irritating to you. The cats are scratching. Doing some big old stretches. I'm gonna have to get them in the videos a bit here because they're entertaining to say the least. So, if you believe a person is lovely and likable, or the person likes you, even though that said person is deemed to be unlikable and a snob by most people, you'll find that her interactions when it comes to you will be different and be more positive. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I've most definitely noticed this. That's why it is important to think and wish only good things for others. The subjective mind is completely controlled by suggestion. Ideas are best suggested when the objective mind is partly subjective. That is, when the senses are diminished or held in abeyance. Talk about mindless activities or a drowsy state. I think that's what they're conveying here. Imagination and faith are the only faculties of the mind needed to create objective conditions. The faith required for the successful operation of the law of consciousness is a purely subjective faith and is attainable upon the cessation of active opposition on the part of the objective mind of the operator. It depends on your ability to feel and accept as true what your objective senses deny. Neither the passivity of the subject nor his conscious agreement with your suggestion is necessary, for without his consent or knowledge, he can be given a subjective order which he must objectively express. It is a fundamental law of consciousness that by telepathy, we can have immediate communion with another. How to do it as per Neville. To establish rapport, you can call the subject mentally. Focus your attention on him and mentally shout his name just as you would attract the attention of anyone. Imagine that he answered and mentally hear his voice. Represent to yourself inwardly in the state you want him to obtain. Then imagine that he is telling you in the tones of ordinary conversation what you want to hear. Mentally answer him. Tell him of your joy in witnessing his good fortune, having mentally heard with all of this distinctness of reality that which you wanted to hear and having thrilled to the news heard. Return to objective consciousness. Your subjective conversation must awaken when it is affirmed. I think this applies to both SP situations, congratulatory scenes, and to those wishing good fortune and health for other people. In quotes here from Neville, we have, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." It is not a strong will that sends the subjective word on its mission so much as it is clear thinking and feeling of the truth of the state affirmed. When belief and will are in conflict, the belief invariably wins. That's why I say imagination always wins. He's saying belief here versus the will. I always say imagination and the will, when they're in conflict, your imagination will win. You could be playing tennis. I use that example. If you don't think you're good enough to defeat your opponent, even if you possess greater skill than them, if you see the ball going out, your imagination will win. And that happened to me in high school a lot. I was better than what I was playing at. Because the very first match that my coach set me up with was against this guy. We can call him Matt for the sake of this video. But I will never forget this because this guy, we were kids at the time, but he was taller and bigger than anybody else in my grade. And I was actually a year younger than everybody else in my grade. So I happen to be smaller than a lot of people in my grade. And I had it in my mind that this kid was just better than me. He was physically bigger, physically stronger. He was like a star basketball player. He was popular, well-liked, all of this stuff. My left arm also was I had tweaked it and I couldn't hit a backhand properly. And all of this going on in my head caused me to lose. I got bageled is what they call it, which is losing 6-0, 6-0. And after that, it was like my fate had been determined already. And really, I played a role in determining my fate by being defeated before I even played. As soon as I saw that who I was matched up against, I was like, okay. I was internally defeated. And I actually had better technique than he had. He just happened to be athletic, generally athletic, but I knew more about tennis. I had better tennis technique and was more well practiced at this particular sport. Again, the internal belief invariably wins, as he said here. So not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. It is not what you want that you attract what you believe to be true. And that is an excerpt from Prayer, The Art of Believing by Neville. So now we have this little section here that is the variation for SP. That's what it's titled, for those who believe in free will. Note, the objective of this technique isn't really to manifest a scene, but really to just connect with your SP. You'll also find that you won't be as much attached to the outcome as you used to be, since you're connecting with your SP anytime you want. Note too, this is not the same as your SATs. Don't skip your SATs, though doing this might help you get into SATs faster and almost immediately. But don't skip the SATs. You'll be tempted to after doing this for some time, since it feels good, unless you incorporate this with the SATs and asleep with the wish fulfilled, then it's okay. I have this technique I just came up with on my own. Way back before I even read Neville, whenever dealing with SPs or even difficult people, it's really just simple. First, I would talk to the person in my mind the way I want to interact with the person in reality. Not really to manifest a specific scene or convo, but just really to talk to them. Then I would wait to hear his or her response. In this case, I don't force what they would reply to me, unlike with what Neville said, that hear what you want to hear. I just let myself hear in my mind whatever the response is, usually automatic, like how in a usual conversation. For me, it helps clear out any lingering doubts or guilty feelings when it comes to overriding someone's free will. I know free will is not really a popular idea in Neville's teaching, but just in case there's a seed of guilt in you that may be hindering your manifestation, then I suggest you do this. Hear their response with you without imposing what should be their response. Like I said, the response is usually automatic. If their response is negative, then just continue talking to them lovingly until your mind interaction with them changes, LOL. Though in my case, I usually get cuddly in my mind and touchy with the person, so I find that their response is to be more positive. They must be talking about SPs for that. But a big but here, if there's still a cold, indifferent feeling or a negative feeling as if you're being pushed away in your mind, then I take it as a sign that the mental barriers or subconscious barriers of that person is strong, or the person still isn't ready with the idea of whatever you're thinking of. Though the solution for this is simple, and again, this is for those who believe in free will or feel guilty. If you don't, it's fine too. They're saying to ask permission, really. Is it okay if I talk to you? Is it okay if I hug you? Is it okay if I kiss you? Or sometimes a generic asking for permission will do. For some reason, this solves almost any negativity immediately that I encounter in my SP in my mind. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but we'll continue with this post. Note with a big but again, the key thing here is that you really have to believe that you're having a conversation with them, not consciously, but with their subconscious. You're accessing the back door of their mind, and with whatever convo or actions you make really happen and is received by their subconscious, so make sure it's all good. They may not be conscious of it, but their unconscious action towards you will reflect it. P.S. When I say good, I mean your actions and behavior toward them in your mind. You can still tell them your problems and concerns. I find that after telling my SP before my problems in my mind, the SP became more concerned towards me, more empathetic towards my problems in reality. Just be in relationship with them in your mind. Then coupled with SATs, I don't think anyone could still go wrong with here except for the imposed limitations. lack of faith in thinking, but my case is different. Okay. So, all right, I'm just going to read this comment here. Wow, I think you solved a big mystery I had. Whenever my imagination created something or a vision worked, I always wondered about the rest of the scene in that moment. If I created a specific event or thing, how did I make the background stuff too? Now, you don't have to necessarily worry about this, as you only have to focus on what is wanted, but it was always a question I had, and I think the answer is simple. The background stuff is just automatic imagination without imposing anything. Try this. Imagine waking up. That moment you open your eyes, what do you see? Most likely, for a large majority of people, their rooms would be the first thing to come to mind. Now, you can of course change and revise this, but the first impressions are what make our backgrounds. It's a naturalness factor again. Okay. So, this is an interesting post, and yes, this is describing something that I've had experience with, and that was back when I was, well, I've had this in various situations, but yes, as it applies to speaking with people, I believe people that are successful with people naturally have this habit. They naturally have a habit of sending their intention. See, I saw this in a video recently, and I think it's really awesome that I watched this recently because I can touch on this point in this video now. And that is people that are magnetic, people that are good at communicating, people that emit an aura of charisma, let's say, whatever you want to call it, that is attractive, the people that are seen and listened to, and the people that pay attention, the people that are paid attention to when it comes to communicating, when it comes to social interactions, these people are less internally blocked. Their energy isn't stifled, there isn't blocked, there isn't that they are unsure of themselves. They've done the work internally to get rid of those internal blocks. Maybe they've done it internally. Maybe they are just used to things going their way. I would say most likely they've gotten a lot of reps in, a lot of practice talking, speaking, and being social to the point where they have adopted those beliefs that yes, like I'm good socially, I get what I want. People especially that are in sales, people that are extroverts, natural extroverts, those naturals that you see that are just naturally good with talking to people and charismatic, like I said, they've gotten rid of those internal blocks, those internal things that are just unsure of yourself. You're inside, you're questioning, you're wondering, and as a matter of fact, you're doing a bit of that permission seeking that this person touched on, where it's like, oh, is this okay? Can I say this? You're a little bit unsure. That is what's happening on an energetic level, is that there's energetic blocks, and that is, I would say the majority of people have that to some degree, and probably everybody at some point or another goes through times where they're uncertain, right? But the people that I'm talking about that are naturally charismatic, they're more free-flowing, they're more carefree, and that is what is attractive, that is what is magnetic about them. And when you see people that are, like I said, in sales, for example, it's almost like the salesmen and the salespeople that are successful, they're very sure of themselves, they're very free-flowing, and they're charismatic, and they speak in a way that's conveying to the other person, to the buyer, that look, if I buy, this person knows something that I don't know. This person, there must be some reason that they're so sure of themselves, that they're so like this. We talk about going like this and like this. These people are very much like this because the energy is just free flowing. They're projecting their energy with their eye contact, with their body language, with their facial expressions, their tonality. It's all working synchronously, hand in hand, and it's all making sense because it's just traveling effortlessly. And again, we can draw this to sports. And again, a tennis comes to mind, but the person that's gripping onto their racket too tightly, that comes from being unsure. Oh, well, I think I need to grip my racket more tightly because I need to make sure that I hit this ball, that I return this ball. The person that is gripping with a looser grip, with a nice free flowing, it looks effortless, they have more of that internal confidence that they know what they're doing, that they're going to return that ball, that they're going to be the one that that hits the ball so that their opponent can't return it. And when it comes to social interactions, I've shared before on this channel, I've had experience doing sales. I've had experience where I've been in a situation where I am imagining, and I've done it consciously because I've learned about these things, that I'm imagining people being excited to buy what I'm selling. I've imagined in social situations that people are enjoying the conversation that they're having with me. I used to go to, there's been many times that I've gone into social situations in the past and I've consciously just imagined people reacting favorably to me. But that is, again, something that we do naturally when we have that internal confidence. And I spoke recently on the recent video that I posted about playing doubles, and I hadn't played doubles in a while, but I was imagining naturally, and this wasn't something that I physically was like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do, this is gonna be my technique to win, but I was imagining that the ball was going in, that I was sinking the ball in between my opponents, that it was going through with topspin, they were unable to return it, and that it was going into the court down by the baseline. Imagining exactly where it's going to go. And that is a trait that people, successful people, whatever it is that you're doing, if you imagine the result that you want as you're going for that result, that is your intention. That is your intention setting. You are intending that to go through. And people that are successful socially, like we're discussing in this post here, you are intending that you are received in a positive manner, that the other person across from you, maybe they're smiling at you, maybe they're looking at you intently, hanging on your every word. Whatever effect it is that you want to generate, you are imagining that, and you are imagining it being received in that way and the reaction that you're going to get. So it could be for an SP, it could be for in the workplace, it could be just at socially, at a social gathering, at a party, getting to know people. Could be, like I said, in a match, in a game. It could be the results that you're getting in your business. And some of these things are a little bit less, face-to-face imaginings or imaginal scenes, imaginal acts, and maybe a little bit easier to imagine. So if you can translate that or overlay that, and I saw somebody commented on a recent video that their method of manifesting is overlaying their version of reality onto the reality that they're experiencing. And they gave a really great example of how they were driving in their truck, but they're driving late at night. And they're imagining that the truck that they're driving is actually this brand new truck that, is all souped up and has all this stuff. They're still driving their old truck, but they're overlaying that onto the new, their version of reality that they're intending for onto what it already is happening. So you can even practice this going into interactions, intending that you're overlaying this reality. You're overlaying the fact that people are loving what it is that you have to say. But now, again, with everything, when the imagination and the will are in harmony, how do you get the will to be in harmony with the imagination, or the imagination to be in harmony with the will? It helps to be actually good at what it is that you're doing. So it helps to actually be good at tennis if you're playing tennis. It helps to actually be good at speaking if you're talking about communicating. And so what I would encourage you to do is whatever that is that you are intending for is to also brush up on that. If you are really trying to be better at communicating, there's a lot of stuff that you can study. There is vocal projection. There is paying attention to your facial expressions. There is eye contact. Are you making solid eye contact with people? Because if you're not, then that is what they call as an honest signal that you may not be sure of yourself, and that you may not be, if you're trying to act like it, but you don't really have the eye contact, and it's hard for you to do those things, it's something to work on, something to be aware of. And anyways, with that being said, guys, much love as always. I thought that this was an interesting post, and the point that they're making here, the point at the end about, I'm not really sure, getting into this about feeling guilty and all that, that's a completely different topic. But the point that I'm making here about overlaying your reality and overlaying it with the intention and the outcome that you want stands true for any situation you're going into. With that being said, much love as always. Hit me with a like, hit me with a subscribe if you've not done so already, and I will see you guys in the next one.